at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. What's our Illinois congressional delegation up to? It's always fun to do a check-in on them. There was a non-binding resolution offered up in the House last week that condemned socialism.
What?
Yeah, they condemned socialism. How many members of the Illinois congressional delegation do you think voted against that resolution?
0?
You don't think anybody voted against a resolution that would condemn socialism?
No.
Really?
Everybody.
Chuy Garcia.
Yes.
He's a socialist. He voted against it. Jan Schakowsky, she's a socialist. She voted against it. Danny Davis doesn't know what he is. He voted against it. Delia Ramirez is a newly minted socialist congresswoman. She voted against it.
Yeah, she's going to D.C. for the State of the Union speech tonight.
And Robin Kelly voted against it. Sean Casten declined to vote at all because he has more important work to do, like rewriting the United States Constitution. Right. Boy, that's interesting. So a resolution condemning socialism, and you've got 5, well, really 6, I'll include Casten, 6 of the 14 Democrats. Yeah, there's 14 now. How many Republicans? 3. Yeah, 3. 14-3. Well done, Illinois. 6 of the Democrat socialists, well, voting against a resolution condemning who they are. I mean, I get it, but I just want you to know who they are and share. Speaking of which, never have so many Nobel laureates spun in their graves at the same time. This piece that appeared in a Chicago Booth, the business school there, periodical, pro-market. To build an equitable economy, we must understand capitalism's racist heritage. This is an op-ed from some flunky associate professor at Loyola University in Maryland. That's not the point, and her argument is not worth repeating because she's just basically repeating the same sort of 200-level bilge of somebody who just read Das Kapital. So, I mean, it's not impressive. The point is, it's in the University of Chicago's MBA program periodical. Business school periodical. The school that gave us Stiegler and Friedman and Becker, gone. Chicago School of Economics that, as George Will quipped, won the Cold War, gone. Another institution in Illinois, Chicago by the boards, as far as I can tell. For more on all this, pleased to be joined by Ted Dabrowski. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Can't be surprised by the continued descent into oblivion, but I guess you have to chronicle it regardless.
Yeah, we have to capture it, and kudos to Mark Glennon, my partner, for picking up on the vote on these U.S. congressmen from Illinois, and that they won't oppose socialism, they won't oppose the imposition of socialism, and it's important for people to know where they stand. I think most people don't really understand what's going on; they don't follow it. But this resolution is a political one, right? Because the Republicans came in and they put up this resolution, but basically they want to see who denounces socialism in all its forms, and opposes the implementation of socialist policies in the United States of America. And, what's fascinating is there's a bunch of people who won't sign that.
Yeah,
like
86,
said,
86, 80, 100 Democrats, 86 voted against it, and 14 voted present. So 100 Democrats, so about half their caucus, roughly, voted against it. And I'm sure another half of the remaining half are just lying because they understand what it'll be used for.
Yeah, and so you got a guy like Chuy Garcia running for mayor. Again, people should know that who he is, what he stands for, what he won't stand for, I'm glad he wrote that, and it kind of ties back into, like you said, University of Chicago. This movement is pretty strong, and places like U of C, which is one that should be defending capitalism, and instead it's falling for it and just weakening its brand, weakening its history.
You can be proudly
pretty sad.
You can be out and proudly socialist without consequence in Chicagoland. If you're a Republican, that's an attack ad. That's what Paul Vallis is finding out, which is something he should have known from the beginning. But that's what's happening now, as both Chuy and Lori Lightfoot are ganging up on him. Yeah,
but and this is the argument I think we need to continuously make, and I've been trying to make it now, is that you won't fix Chicago until the equity argument, the equity message is totally rejected, and of course we're nowhere near that now, right? But right now that equity argument is so destructive. It's the equity argument that's ending up leading to more people being fewer bad guys being convicted back out on the streets and killing more minority people. Right? It's that equity argument that's ending up with no kids being able to read in schools. It's a total mess, and until we reject it and get back to some common decency of merit and competence and competition and things like that, then Chicago's going to continue its downward slide.
Well, Ted, yesterday both Paul Vallis and Chuy Garcia answered questions about different campaign donations. Let's start with Chuy. He finally talked about FTX, the crypto donation that he got.
We had nothing to do with the $200,000. That didn't come to my campaign. We didn't need it. We didn't ask for it. I ran unopposed. That's a question for the investigators.
Sounds a little nervous, don't you think?
Well, they'll take the money when they get it, and then they have to backtrack if something goes wrong. It's typical. And FTX put his mark everywhere, and Chuy was part of that, and so now he's got to backtrack.
But he's acting like he never even received it.
Yeah, well, no surprise, I guess.
And so, what do you want to do about it? What does Paul Vallis want to do about it?
Well, Paul Vallis is under attack by certain pastors. Because he took
a campaign.
No, because he took a $5,000 donation from a cop who was sued, didn't win, but was sued in the Laquan McDonald case. And this Reverend Marvin Hunt wants him to give it back. Here's the accusation and how Paul brilliantly handled it. I think
we're demanding that Mr. Vallis, number one, return the money, return the blood money. Number two, we're asking that Mr. Vallis come to the black community and make a public apology.
There's nothing to apologize for. Number one, the police officer in question, there was no wrongdoing. And number two, we decided, because of our concern about the sensitivity of the community, to actually not accept the donation and turn the donation over to an advocacy group.
Now, I'm impressed by that. I think he handled that controversy well, and it just shows.
God.
No, come on. He's not denying it and rambling around like Chuy Garcia.
Can I interject something here? Nobody cares where you get your money. Nobody cares. Chuy Garcia could be getting directly financed by the FALN, and nobody would care. It motivates no votes. So, yeah, Vallis is right to basically dismiss it out of hand and move on, because nobody cares. It's something the media talks about. I don't care where you got your money, dude, or dudette. That's what the electorate actually thinks. I hate to break it to you. Mm-hmm. So whatever.
I think few people will follow that and pick up on that. Yeah, the bigger issue, of course, is what are they saying on crime, on education, and all that. And
you had Ted. This is a policy matter too. You had this independent expenditure. I know a little something about this since I ran one. I'm criticized for everything I do that's legal. You had an independent expenditure PAC set up by Don Harmon's lawyer, the Senate president's lawyer, that was spending millions to support the Dem candidates for Supreme Court, also being backed by Pritzker, who were going to decide the constitutionality of the Safety Act.
Yeah.
And they didn't report any of the fund. They didn't report any of the spend.
Is that illegal? Isn't that illegal?
Yes, it's illegal.
What?
It's absolutely illegal. And so what happens that? No. The dutiful press corps.
Yep, no big deal. Move on. Next.
I mean, I just
it's a big deal, right?
Ethics and transparency and disclosure and clean elections and all this stuff, and then but when it comes to us, we'll just run a few $1 million through some PAC that Harmon's lawyer sets up, and we'll just ignore the reporting requirements. We'll apologize after the fact. That's how it actually works in this kleptocracy.
Yeah, you're talking about the Senate president. It's a big deal, but yeah, it's gonna be swept under and no big deal, just a mistake. Have they said exactly why they didn't report? Just a oversight?
Clerical error.
They'll get to it eventually.
Yeah,
no rush.
They never saw. I mean, that's like it's Joe Biden talking about classified documents. They have no knowledge of any of it. The money spent itself. It's where it's at. I mean, and so like these conversations. I wish I could get motivated by this mayor's race, but nobody's saying anything. And of course, the Chicago Press Corps is a joke. I mean, it is beyond a joke. They are a parody of themselves with this donation and that donation. Run the ads, blah blah blah. They don't. There's nothing being talked about that's substantive. Crime. Okay. No. Well, and
it's been really pathetic. It's you watch those debates. They've got 9 people on there. Nobody says anything. Nobody, they're not even taking that much risk against each other. You think they would? The media's done a horrendous job of asking questions, and certainly there's no follow up. There's no follow up to the follow up, and so you've got nothing. And we've tried to bring it up. The real issues should be those that are, those are the ones that I mentioned where equity is being destructive, right? Look at the black on black crime. Look at the unwed births of black mothers. Look at 1 out of 10 black students being able to read at Chicago public schools. They won't touch that. And there's obvious reasons why they don't touch it, but so the real issues don't get discussed. It's really hard to differentiate right now between them. And
I mean, and like pieces you do, like about Lightfoot's financial prestidigitation when it comes to the budget. I mean, who's paying attention to that? I mean, I appreciate the work, and it's good. It's good to have somebody actually documenting these things, so there's some reference material. But that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, all it is just we're on the record, and for the future, eventually when this thing falls apart, we'll know what the issues were. But yeah, we wrote about this finances because she came out and said that magic has happened and things have aligned, and now the fiscal footing of Chicago is back where it should be, and we've got these credit upgrades and all that. But she didn't mention the thing about how the budget has just been massively helped by the bailouts, and the tax revenues are just flowing in. Even if she's closed down the economy, even if she shut down businesses and did all the stuff she did during COVID, we grew like crazy. Why? Because of the free money. But nobody cares, like you say. It doesn't matter.
Well, I guess, I mean, to your point, and I've made the same one about the lack of risk taking. So, if this breaks along racial lines, like it usually does in Chicago, because we are a death cult. Then 7 black candidates split up the black vote. Chewy gets the Latino vote. Paul gets the honkies, and it's Paul versus Chewy. And if it's Paul versus Chewy, he is not right now taking the opportunity, in my view, to wake people up, shake people up. And that's what it's going to take, because he's going to be an underdog, and he's going to be pilloried not just by Chewy, but by allied organizations who get their bread buttered by the way things are when it comes to a 30-day sprint to April 4th. And this, responding to the press, the Chicago press, like they're asking, like these are legitimate people asking legitimate questions, is exactly the wrong thing to do. So technically, like his dismissal, here's the facts about this stupid donation, that's fine, but that's not what he needs to do. He needs to be, let me tell you something. Okay? This doesn't matter. This is nonsense. You are a boob. And here is where you should be focused. So turn your camera around and let me narrate a picture of Chicago for you, of what it is and what it better be. And the only way it's going to better be that is with me doing X, Y, and Z. I mean, there's just like it's all so rote. It's all so vanilla. It's this boring pong game between these underwhelming candidates and the underwhelming Chicago press corps. I mean, what's the point of the debate? What's the point of this race right now, as far as I'm concerned?
Yeah, I think it almost feels like, let's see who can kind of like skate in without doing too much, taking on the system too much, and see if I can just squeeze in. And I think, like you mentioned for Valls, it'll be a big risk because if he doesn't differentiate himself enough, as being a change agent, and he's going to have to do it very strongly. If he's too accepting of the way things are, and try not to make waves, then that might cost him. So we have to see him. Willie Wilson also needs to make more waves too, because he does. He can. He can and he should. But again, he has to be a lot louder.
He is Ted Dabrowski, President of Wirepoints.org. All things Illinois policy related. Ted, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Sean Thompson here. When your car's check engine light comes on, you can do one of two things. You can ignore it and hope it goes away, or you can take it to a mechanic and ask him to find the problem before it damages your engine. Unfortunately, your retirement plan doesn't have one of those warning lights. So what happens if there's a problem? Wouldn't you like to catch it before it does any long-term damage to your retirement? That's why you should call Tom at Alpha Wealth Group and ask about a complimentary retirement roadmap.